In this video, you will learn how to set up a camera rig for more complex animations in Peachwell's editor. Alright, so let's have a look how to create a camera rig for your animations in Peachwell's editor. So I've just made this little animation here that has more like a cinematic style. So you can of course experiment in any way you want, guys, but I'm just going to show you how to kind of build a simple rig for your camera so you can have like this kind of a nice, I would say like a dual movement. So as you can see, we're kind of spinning around the shoe as well as we are zooming in, and it kind of creates a nice reveal effect for this 3D model. So let's jump back into the Peachwell's editor and have a look at it. As you can see, what I've done here is on the left panel, I created a camera rig, and essentially what that is, I'm just adding an object and then making the camera as a child of this object. And basically, I will explain you in more detail, simple way, how to create this simple rig. Let's just hide this for a second and imagine that we have an animation already set up, which we do, and this animation is of a shoe coming out of the water, just like so. So what I would like to do now is I would like to create an object that I can use as a pivot point for my camera. So in this case, what I will do is I'm going to just create a simple cube object, and I will name this cube object camera rig 2 for obvious reasons, because I already have camera rig 1 in my scene. So what I need to do now is I need to add another camera into my 3D scene. So I'm just going to click here, go to basic, and add another perspective camera. We'll name this camera rig camera 2. Let's say that. Now I need to make it as a child of camera rig 2. So what I need to do is I just drag, and you see it's kind of outlined now, drop on the cube object, and now it becomes a child of my cube. So what I can do now is probably enter the camera view, and at the moment we are at 0. So let's move the camera back a little bit, and we're gonna lift the camera up just a tiny bit, so it's just a little bit above the water. And as now you can see that our cube is here, the camera rig 2, and our camera is pushed back a little bit. So I think what we need to do probably is to do like 12. So it's a little bit further away from the object, and that's fine. I think that's a good starting point for this animation. I'm going to go back to my cube object, which I renamed earlier to camera rig 2. And what I want to do is I don't want to see this cube. I don't want to see it in my scene. So what should I do with that is just go into the properties panel on the right, click on the cube material, and here you have, if you remember for our previous tutorials, you can make the material transparent, and in a sense you can make the objects transparent. So let's enable transparency and let's move opacity to 0. And now our cube is invisible. It's still there, but we cannot see it. What we can do now is we can start thinking about our animation. How do we want our animation to unfold? So what I would like to do is as my shoe is coming out of the water, I would like to start moving around to sort of make a 360 spin around it. And if I would be using just the camera, this would basically require me to create quite a complex keyframes, and it wouldn't work really nice. But if I want to make a smooth animation, I'm going to use this rig that I just made. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spin the cube object, and let's just see on which axis we need to do that. So I think it's I think it's on the y-axis. Let's just go down a little bit quickly. And then we just change this setting here to 0. And what we should have is a spinning animation around our object. So that's the first step. So that's fine. We are now moving around our shoe as it reveals itself from the water. And what we want to do with the camera we want the camera to start to zoom in as we're moving around the object. So we would like to end our animation closer to our object on a different angle. Let's go and animate our camera. So at the 0 point at the start of our animation, we're just going to click rotation. We're going to click our position just to set up the keyframes here. And please note I have auto keyframe on, so my keyframes are recorded as I'm clicking on these things. And then what I need to do is I need to go to the 50%, which is the end of my animation, and change my camera position to a desirable distance from the object. So let's say it's 6. We now need to be higher, so probably 2. That looks quite cool. And maybe we want to be a little bit on an angle. I'm just not sure which way we would like to go. So 15. Let's do -15. So we're looking a little bit down on our shoe. Let's put it at 2.5 height. Maybe at 3 actually in this case. Yeah. And yeah, I mean maybe 3.2. That's how we set up the rig in here. So if I'm going to go back, you can start seeing that my camera now is also zooming in as we're moving around our object. And it does create quite a cool effect of the animation. All right, so let's preview this quickly. We go to UI. Don't forget to change your camera, rig camera 2. And voila, so that's fine. We click play button on the top toolbar here. All right, let's have a look at our animation. As you can see, as I'm scrolling forward, my object is coming out of the water, and we're also spinning around the object and zooming into it, which is creating quite a nice cinematic effect. This is a very basic idea of how you can use a camera rig in Peachwell's editor, but I hope that it helps you to start experimenting and creating some cool 3D camera animations.